Hi and welcome to the Animas Podcast. Today I have the great pleasure of talking with Hans Schumann. Hey Hans.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. I think the last time I saw you was at the Animas Summit.
That's right.
Which was, I don't know, maybe
a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and you did a great talk telling us all the things that we shouldn't do to develop our coaching practice. And I remember it being lots of fun, lots of high energy, and people got real great content from that, things that they could begin to do to get out there as coaches. So I guess my first question is, how's it going being out there as a coach?
Well, I have to say it remains challenging. Running a business is challenging, particularly if you don't have any experience in it.
Okay.
But there's a side of me that actually quite likes that. And I'm trying loads of things. I mean, I probably have tried most of the marketing avenues, and most of them actually didn't work.
Okay, so tell us about some of those avenues that you tried that didn't work.
Well, I spent thousands of pounds on Facebook advertising and Google Ads.
Okay.
And I built sales funnels, some of them quite sophisticated, with a lead capture and ebook that you download. I actually produced two of them. The first of them nobody ever wanted. The second one was a little bit better. But in proportion to the effort I put into these exercises, I got very little out of it.
Okay.
And partly that is, when you're in the coaching business, and probably lots of the viewers will have experienced that, is you're bombarded by people, marketeers who tell you the secret strategy to being successful.
Yeah.
Build that funnel and it will get you 6-7 figures.
Yeah. Join my group, join my mastermind.
That's right, yes. And you see, some of these strategies actually work, but it depends on your target market and on your personality and your content. So most of these advisors, and again, I invested in working with quite a few of them, they recommend a Facebook strategy, and you invite them to a Facebook group, you engage with them, and then you give them a small product and you upsell, so all fine. But for me, I really work with executives and on some sensitive issues like career issues. They're not the kind of person who would go into a Facebook group and then share their thoughts about stepping down as a CEO. That's just not the right forum.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in a quite exciting period right now because I've accepted that and also embraced LinkedIn as the ideal platform for me. And I knew that for a long time that made more sense, but I couldn't see how to make this working because advertising on LinkedIn isn't so great. Very few people click on the adverts on LinkedIn, but I learned new ways how to engage with the platform, and it works much better for me.
So it's really interesting because I remember talking to a coach a while back who said that his audience weren't on YouTube. So it was pointless him creating a YouTube channel because the people that wanted to work with him wouldn't be doing that, they'd be doing something else. So he had to find a way to get in front of his target market. I think that's really key about finding a way to get to both recognise and then get in front of the people you want to work with.
Yes, and if you are an executive coach or a career coach, you will automatically have more social proof if you have a profile on LinkedIn, and a quality profile that actually engaged and that talks about the particular pain points of your customers and how you can help them. And also, if you engage them with people through that platform, it is more acceptable for them rather than starting to talk about their big career issues on a Facebook platform or YouTube platform.
So LinkedIn's working for you. So part of that's your profile. Is there anything else that you're doing to make that work?
To make LinkedIn work, or generally, I mean, LinkedIn is a part of a strategy. You mentioned YouTube. I still have a YouTube channel, and I try to put on new content every week. But I then share that on LinkedIn, which is going to have a video hosting platform for it.
Yeah.
It also means that if people click on a video, they then can see other videos on YouTube.
Nice.
Also, if you look at the bottom of my LinkedIn profile, there are videos introducing me, meet Hans Schumann, or what is career coaching, what is the most important question in your life. So the video content is still quite important, and I feed that through YouTube.
So you're using YouTube, but not as the place they go to. That's just hosting the videos that you can then link in your LinkedIn profile.
That's right. Plus, when you do certain searches for career coaching or executive coaching, there's just another opportunity for me to come up with my name and my keywords.
Okay. So,
and then, of course, you still need something like lead capture.
yeah.
Something that you can send them, free material where they can see that you actually, there's some substance behind what you do. So I have an ebook which is called The Ultimate Career Change Guide, where I have a number of tools and exercises, a little bit of a mini version of my Amazon book. And the next thing I want to do is one about productivity, because that's an issue that most executives understand. It's an easy entry into a coaching conversation.
So you just kind of skirted over your Amazon book there. Just tell us about, how did that come about? You getting yourself a book and becoming an author?
Well, I had a very good coach at that time, which was Tony Salimi, and he really pushed me to write a book for my personal branding, to establish myself as an authority in my industry. And I told him, well, I can't really write a book because I'm too new. I only just started coaching, and maybe in a year or 2 years' time. But he really was quite insistent that was the right thing to do, and I just did it. At that time, admittedly, I had already been working as a career coach for, I think, a year. Okay. So I had a lot of tools and processes. I already knew I worked, and also case studies, and then it was quite easy writing that down. All the processes, and actually I used all my LinkedIn articles, all the content was there. I just had to put it together in a book.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So that reminds me. So I often talk to people about, reflective practice, collecting case studies, referrals, writing down what you think, writing articles. And what I'm hearing here is that you can take all of that collection of work and put that together. Of course, do some editing and some tweaking, and then use that to create a book.
Every piece of content that we create can be reused in so many different ways. First of all, as you say, it's actually a great starting point before we start a book. By just writing regularly articles, we get into the practice of writing, and then we can take all this content and write a book. But we can also do other things with it. We can go through all of our articles and do a video just talking about it. It's just a different way to do it. Then we can use that content and put it together in a little ebook, or we can make a course out of it. The time that we invest in creating this content is just never lost. We can leverage it in many ways.
I think that's a really important thing for people to hear, because I think sometimes we feel like, well, I write this article and then I have to write another one, and I have to write another one. And we don't work out I've written that, but how can I really use it and get it out there in lots of different ways?
Yeah, it's your intellectual capital, and it's gold worth.
Brilliant. So what else are you doing? So you've got your LinkedIn profile, you've got your videos, you've got your ebook, you've got your Amazon book. What else are you doing to kind of build that coaching practice?
I'm still trying to get the Google Ads avenue working for me. I just started working with a different company because the previous one for the management of the Google account didn't really deliver. Admittedly, much was due to my landing page not really converting, but I would have expected that they'd help me a little bit more. So now I changed suppliers, and we are starting from scratch again, making improving obviously the keywords and all that back-end functionality, but also making sure that where people arrive then once they clicked on the ad is actually interesting enough and to convert into contacts.
So I'm hearing here you're really embracing the business of a coaching practice.
I think you have to. Yes. I mean, I love this quote by Nick Bolton, who said, "Coaching is just a skill. It's not a business.
Yeah.
To make it a business, you need to be good at the business side." And I'm learning. I'm a natural born entrepreneur, but I quite like learning this, and I'm also really good at systems and processes. That has always been one of my strengths.
Brilliant. That's great to hear, because it's so right. Often we learn coaching, we think that's it, and we don't recognise that there's a whole raft of other things that we need to do to really get ourselves out there and get our practice off the ground, as it were.
And particularly for somebody like me, because I'm an introverted person, There are some people who can pull it all off without doing any of this. I mean, if you're really that kind of confident person that is always out and about, talks to people, tells everybody about how great coaching is, even if they're just queuing for a cup of coffee, that's fantastic. And you will probably be quite successful without having to bother about all the petty sales funnels. But it's not my natural strength. I need to do a little bit more like this. And I like the idea of automating processes, that I find a strategy that really works for me and I can just run it on autopilot. Haven't quite found it to that extent, but that's what I'm still experimenting with.
Lovely, lovely. And I think there's something nice there about this notion of that, what's our way? Because there are people that are great at going out and doing talks, and there are others that we have to really learn how to stand on that stage and present ourselves. Well, I've seen you on stage. You came across incredibly well at the summit.
And I do enjoy being on the stage, but probably if I had to do it every day, it would draw a lot of energy from me. We all can do probably all kinds of different things, but we have a particular area where we are in our natural flow and most effective. So for me, that is not always being out there.
Yeah.
And actually, it requires me a lot of preparation. To be confident on the stage, I need weeks of preparation.
Right.
I'm hoping that the more I do this, the shorter the time will be. But at the moment, it does require a lot of work.
Yeah. So, of course, you want to be in your flow, using your strengths to maximum capacity to really get out there. So we talked a bit about the business of coaching. So I'm curious about what you do as a coach.
I have to think about how actually to answer that question. Okay, maybe let's talk about, first of all, the issues I talk about.
Yeah.
I work with executives, and I recently also decided to be more specific in what kind of industries. It's mainly law, banking, HR, and IT.
Okay.
I'm just experimenting, putting it out there so that I can talk to people and connect to them more easily. And I work with them on the areas of career change, career progression, leadership, and life balance. Right. It's still quite a broad spectrum, but for me it was quite important that I'm not just the career coach. After I'd written this book, which was called Falling in Love with Your Job and all about career change, I thought almost that I was through with the issue because I've written it all down. And career coaching can be very process-driven.
Okay.
You do the same things, like what are your values, what are your transferable skills, what are the life outcomes you want to create, what is your most effective way of working, putting it all together and exploring options. And just doing that wouldn't have satisfied me. I wanted to have a wider range of issues. So career progression, the issues I work on with people is how to increase your visibility at work, how to create your personal brand, how to manage stakeholders, and obviously also being clear about what you actually want from your career and for what reasons. And if we look at leadership, it is about what does it mean to be a leader, and what type of leader do I want to be. And then the life balance, which is probably the most classic life coaching topic, is how do we make sure that when we do all of this, we don't burn out, we still have fun, we enjoy our life, and what are the other areas of our life that we want to make sure are in balance with our work.
Wow, okay, so that feels really holistic, a holistic way of working with executives. It really feels rounded for them. So how are they sort of meeting with that?
Well, mostly they come to me because of a career change. That's an entry point that they understand, and where they also feel there's no stigma attached to it, talking to somebody. And when we then get into it, that's where they sometimes come up with issues of joy in life, fulfillment, or they admit they actually have anxiety attacks. That's actually, I was surprised how common that is.
Oh, okay.
Or even, people who go to the toilet and cry, men, women, young people, old people. There are a lot of people in the corporate world under a lot of pressure. They don't normally immediately say that, but it comes out in the course of the process.
So one of the other coaches that I was talking to, they talked about that notion of human connectedness and how that enabled the coaching to take place, they enabled the change to happen. So I suppose that they have to build that with you before they can tell you that they're crying in the bathroom at work. And is there any particular ways that you go about creating that connectedness with them?
Well, there are the basic techniques of showing rapport, of listening without bias, and normally they automatically ease into the conversation. And they see that whatever they say, there is no judgment coming from me, just genuine interest. Also, I guess I have a certain soft approach and manner that facilitates the process. It may not be right for everybody, but some people feel very safe in that way.
And I guess if the clients don't feel safe, they're not going to open up and change isn't going to take place because we're not going to really hear what the challenges are that they're facing.
Yeah. And I actually have a few clients who also have a corporate coach that is paid for by the employer, but they're still having me on the side, whether rightly or wrongly they feel with me they can talk about other more personal issues. And they would feel uncomfortable discussing it with somebody who was organised through their employer.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I've had this experience, and one of the things that I often wondered was when you're paid by the organisation have an agenda that shows up as well in the coach, and it can mean that for the client you can feel that agenda coming in, so you can't talk about stuff that isn't about making stuff happen, about getting your performance up to this high level, because you know if you go, I feel really down today, they might report that back to your bosses, who then might go, well, Robert isn't up to scratch, all right, let's move him on and bring somebody else in. But with you, they know that that's not going to go anywhere.
Of course, we know if I was employed at a company, I wouldn't share that.
Yeah.
But if you're a coachee, you may not be quite trusting in that process.
Yeah. And I think sometimes that even when a coach talks about boundaries and confidentiality, it doesn't always feel like that's true, especially when you know that your company's paying for it in order for you to do something.
Yeah. The other thing I like about working with executives who come to me out of their own initiative is there's just a different level of engagement.
Yeah.
I don't have an executive in a room who just sits here like, who are you and what are you going to tell me? They seek me out and they put quite a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why they will engage more, because it's their own money.
Yeah, and that's something really great about when people can find you, seek you out and go, I want to work with you. Because that level of engagement is there, that isn't there if you're a sponsored coach. So you're using your LinkedIn and YouTube to get people to find you. Are there any other things that you're doing to kind of get people to land on your door?
I do loads of things. I mean, one very time-consuming thing I do at the moment is BNI, which basically takes almost away one day in a week, because there's a 2-hour meeting, then you have one-to-ones with individual members before and after, then you have things you need to do at home in terms of connecting, referring. It's quite work-intensive, and the jury is still out whether it will work for me, but it has a powerful potential. For example, if I post something on LinkedIn, everybody in my BNI group will like it, which means that my views on a post shoot up to about 2,500, 3,000, which is a number that I would normally pay for if that was Facebook, and I would probably pay about £35 to get 3,000 views. So there's a lot of potential to be leveraged when you have such a powerful group behind you.
And I suppose they're sharing it to their networks and to their people, so you're getting out there. It's not just a pretend out there, it's a real out there.
It is, yeah. Like, for example, one of my BNI members saw that somebody posted, "Do you know a good career coach?" Well, everybody in my group said, "Oh, Hans Schumann is a great career coach." And although that person was looking for a career coach, did not get back to me because there were loads of other people also being recommended. On the same day, I got about 20 invitations to be connected.
Okay.
Not very hot leads, but still, some of those were people that were interested in being connected with somebody who was recommended.
Yeah.
That means they're now on my network and they will see my posts, and eventually that may become a client.
Okay, so we've got BNI, and what else are we doing?
What else am I doing? I still do Facebook. I do have my Facebook page. I blog on my website. I have my own clients who are regularly asked for referrals.
Okay.
I haven't totally given up on Facebook yet as a marketer, as an advertising channel, but I need to think about something that makes more sense. What am I doing? I think these are the big ones.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot.
It is a lot, and I will reduce my energy probably to do mainly LinkedIn going forward now, because if we try to do too many things, it's just not very productive.
So you're going to focus on LinkedIn. What do you hope that will mean for you as a practitioner in 2-3 years' time?
I want to use LinkedIn to improve my personal brand. And I want to be the go-to person for executive coaching in the specific markets, legal, banking, HR, and IT. And my ideal business model is one where I work with just a small group of personal private clients. I've never been the person who felt that desire to preach to the masses. For me, it's more about the quality of a few relationships. So maybe 10, 20, and I work with them on a long-term basis, maybe even 1-year contracts. That's for me the ideal business model. And if we're doing wildly, then also that would be via Skype, so that I'm flexible. There's a side of me that misses my home country, Germany. I also love to travel a lot, so that would be ideal for me. And actually also having some clients in Germany would be really fantastic.
So being able to be anywhere in the world, opening your laptop, having your coaching sessions with a few really close clients.
Lots of people do that, like Rich Litvin. It's actually it seems to be more accepted in the United States, coaching via Skype, because everybody is so far away. I also want to work more intensively with clients. I just launched a new product, which is unlimited coaching for 3 months, to really keep the energy up.
Unlimited coaching?
It's unlimited coaching, unlimited phone contact, unlimited email contact.
For 3 months?
Yeah, and the reason why I do this is the longer the packages are, the more difficult it is to keep up the energy. You know, some of our clients said, okay, let's not do it weekly, fortnightly, because I'm busy. Then maybe they can't do one occasion, it suddenly becomes 3 weeks. Every time you have to start again, discussing what happened, and it kind of frizzles out and loses the momentum. And I find it unsatisfying, it doesn't create quite the results that are actually possible. If you tell them, this is what you pay upfront for 3 months, unlimited coaching, they know they lose out if they don't make use of the time. It really keeps the energy up, they make the most out of it. And yes, it's a commitment from me, but I'm just excited about the case studies you can get out of this, because that intensive work. And I also know the kind of clients I work with, they wouldn't abuse it.
So, because one of my thoughts was, it's a bit like the free buffet, not the free buffet, but you go, you pay a set amount, you can eat all you want. There are people that just eat what they need, and then there are those that just kind of want to keep going back and scooping up more. So I was curious about how do you manage your energy and your time with that?
Well, I mean, it's brand new for me, so the jury is out, but I know people who already run that product. And what they say is, and what I've started saying too, is that it's subject to availability. So if I say normally 3 sessions a week I can always do. I can always guarantee I will always manage to fit them in, if of course the client has time. And as I said, the kind of clients I work with, they're very busy. They don't have the time to send me lots of emails or call me constantly or have multiple sessions per week. So there's a natural way in this self-regulates itself.
And do you have like an average of how many sessions they would get for those 3 months?
My pricing is priced on if they have 3 sessions, then it's basically that pays out the package.
Okay.
If it's more than 3, then it's a little bit of a loss. If it's less than 3, then I win.
Cool. It just sounds really fascinating to me that those different types of models that people can employ around their coaching packages. So whether it's you pay per session, whether you book 6 sessions, the unlimited, the 1 year. What are your thoughts about things like that?
Well, for me, I give options. and at the same time understand that I have a role in creating a framework that is most effective for the transformation. And if I just sit back and say, okay, it's a session, you take them wherever you want, I'm kind of letting my clients down a bit. And I've done that in the past, and I want to be more proactive, like calling them up if they haven't booked a session, and making sure that we keep the momentum going.
Okay, that's really interesting. So, there's that kind of way of working where you might just say, you call me when you're ready, whatever you want to talk about is okay, and it being very open. That
is a perfectly acceptable style. It just can mean that you give them the excuse for just not doing the actions. It's an easy way out, in particular when things become a little bit tricky in the coaching relationship. And I talked to somebody who uses that model, the unlimited model in Germany, and he says it's just amazing how much more you achieve with your clients if you don't give them that easy way out.
And coaching is challenging.
Yeah.
And it's purposeful. So the notion that we allow them to sit back is kind of almost anti-coaching. There is a real need and desire for us as coaches to be in there with our clients going, come on, what's happening here? What do you want to, what's the change you want to make? How do we make that happen, as opposed to just waiting for them to want to make it happen?
That's my thinking so far. Maybe in a year's time you'll see me on the stage talking again about mistakes in my coaching business, and that will be one of them. But at the moment I'm feeling really excited about this model.
And it sounds great, and I love how when we did the summit, how you were so open in talking about the things that just didn't work for you. I thought that was really, really great. Can you remember any of those? I remember you talking about the website, about making.
Of course, I remember all of them. But the first one was this website.
Yes.
That was very cryptic because it had no manual, nothing on it, and I thought it just looked so glamorous and exclusive. And they told me to scrap it, but I didn't want to hear it, and it took a very long time for me to do that. Then I spent £650 on logo design. So it was the first thing after the foundation. I had to get a logo. Still don't have a logo. You don't really need a logo. And then I talked a little bit about not charging enough, which actually never really was my issue. Actually, I'm saying this, but it is actually, I just heard yesterday from an ex-client that he thought I was too cheap. So in a way, that is me. I thought it wasn't me, but
okay.
It just depends. I haven't probably increased my prices at the same level as I changed my clientele, because I just only rebranded myself as an executive coach.
Okay.
So prices need to follow.
Nice. Cool. And a lot of coaches, especially young coaches, as in coaches new to the industry, have a real challenge around charging money for their coaching. How did you find that?
I found that actually quite easy. Mind you, I only started charging after the qualification? Yeah, I think after the qualification. I did it relatively fast in 6 months, and then I started charging the £50, and I just had no issue at all with this. I found that was a really fair exchange of transactional value. But not everybody is so shy. I mentor a few junior coaches, and I have one who only just done the foundation. He's already done 20 coaching hours, and he started charging £25. And I thought, wow, I mean, he will really kick off big. I mean, he's trained in sales. He's got these business skills that will make him successful. Yeah. So not everybody is like that.
Yeah, so I guess there's something around what are your transferable skills when you come into coaching that can have an impact on how quickly, or the areas that you might go into as a coach.
Well, if you are good in networking, in selling, in marketing, social media, that will be extremely valuable.
So I suppose those areas that, if you're not good in those as a coach, there are things that you need to actually go and learn about and develop some kind of skill set, or pay somebody else to do them.
I was just about to say that, yeah. If there's something that is not within your natural flow, then find somebody for whom that activity is within their flow.
Yeah.
And for an introverted person, that could be about affiliating with somebody who spreads the word out for you. Or I have a few people in my network, and probably everybody has these people who just gatekeepers. They know everybody.
Yes.
If you build meaningful relationships with those kind of people, they will do all the talking for you because that's what they naturally do.
Yeah. So
But even with that, you will need to learn quite a bit of that too.
Yeah.
You probably can never delegate it completely because you're the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And eventually, people want to speak to you or see you or connect with you. So you've got to be able to do that when that happens. So I just also want to quickly just talk about how you got to being a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked a lot about your coaching, your coaching business. How did that begin for you? How did you find coaching?
Well, all my life I was a personal development junkie, really.
Okay.
And when other boys played at the playground, I would go to the local library and get myself personal development books. But I never thought that could be a job. I had no idea what to become, like many young men, no clue, no particular talents that were standing out. And when we don't know what's important to us, we absorb the values of other people around us. And everybody was an academic around me, lots of lawyers. People told me it's a sensible choice, status, money, recognition, job security, so I went for that. And all of that was true, and I was also quite good at it. But what I'm hesitating, I was about to say I never really rocked my boat. I probably did for a while, intellectual stimulation, but then it just burned me out.
Right.
And I was first in private practice, and I thought going in-house would be the solution. But then I was suddenly in financial services, which I didn't even care about as an industry. And if you're in a high-performance job that is stressful and it's about something that you don't really care about, that's then even worse. And I did burn out, and I was ill for 2 years with inflammatory bowel disease, really seriously. Lost 20 kilos of my body weight, a quarter what you see here now. Was housebound for 14 months. And I never really thought I would have a normal life again. That I'm sitting here with you is an absolute miracle to me. Well, I turned around, and when I came back into my job at one of the retail banks, I thought, did I really just come back to life for this? Sitting in an open plan office, no natural daylight, people managed by fear, in an industry that we don't really care about. And I thought, no. And at that time I was working with Tony Salini on rebuilding my life after that 2 years of disease, because everything was really in shatters. And I experienced coaching, and I thought, okay, so what would it look like to have a job where everything that I do anyway about personal growth was part of the job description, going on retreats, having my own coaching, talking to others about their personal growth, reading all those books, and that was coaching. And it seemed like a daring idea to do it, but I thought there's nothing for me to lose.
Yeah.
And I managed to engineer a redundancy situation at work, so I got a package that helped me, and I went for it.
Awesome. Brilliant. That's just amazing. I'm aware of time, and so I really wanted to. There was a point there I really wanted to dive into, sort of how you turned that around. But I'm not sure if we've got enough time.
Turned what around? My medical condition?
Yeah.
I'm hesitating because I have no proof about what actually happened.
Okay.
But I tried. Everything was available in terms of traditional medicine, experimental, alternative, spiritual healing, everything. Nothing worked. And the doctors had nothing left to give to me except to remove my colon. And that's when I changed my approach by changing my mental state. I knew from the placebo effect that our mind has powers to heal the body. We're just not very good at using it consciously. And I noticed that my whole thoughts, all my thoughts were just about on disease. And actually I also thought I'd rather die every day. Because if you wake up every day with fever and nausea for 2 years, it really grinds you down. And I was in hospital when I realized, you don't really want to die, you want to get better. But for as long as you only think about disease and death, there's just no way you can get better. You need to create the blueprint of health again so that your subconscious can pick up and create that for you. So I started meditating regularly, white light healing meditations. I downloaded images from the internet that I could see how a healthy colon looks like from the inside, and meditated every day visualizing that. I also visualized myself running again, having fun, dancing, being on holidays, and tried to give it as much power as I could. And then created reasons again why I wanted to be healthy for. And I cleaned up some of my negative beliefs. And I did that intensively for a few days, and suddenly all my medical results got better. I was tested every day at that time. And the reason why I was hesitating about this, I can't really prove that turned my condition around.
Yeah.
But I like to believe that it at least facilitated the healing, because our body and also the medicines, they can do the healing for us if we just allow it to happen and we don't sabotage it.
Wow, sounds amazing. I'd love to talk more about that, so we'll have to get you back in just to talk about how we can use our minds to help us heal ourselves. But also, I suppose I just want to throw one more question in there: is there a way, or do you bring that way of thinking of using the mind into your coaching practice with your executives?
I do, not on health issues, but it comes up all the time, because, as you know, the way we perceive reality is determined by the programs that we have, our internal world. So when it comes to dealing with anxiety, lack of confidence, or interpersonal relationships, it is really important to examine what goes on internally. What do they believe about themselves, about the world around them, and what are these subconscious programs that are running, and what kind of results do they create for them?
Totally. Awesome. It's been an absolute pleasure, Hans. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you.